do all the time.
That is just being a bear.
Yeah. Well, at certain points gave up. And we started dressing alike, and we both have unhealthy fondness for my wife.
And she has a healthy disdain for both
For
of you.
both of us. Yeah.
And there have been little windows, there have been little moments where it's
Right.
like, oh yeah, I can tell them apart.
Yeah.
One of them wears glasses. Shit. They
Right.
both wear glasses.
Yeah.
One of them's a little bit, they're both equally short.
Yeah.
They both have beards now.
Yeah.
There was a window, there was a time.
There was a brief time.
When you were
One of them's an alcohol, they're both alcoholics.
One of them constantly hitting up to borrow money. Oh no, they're right on the other line. They're borrowing money. And then there's been genuine times when Rob and I have bought the same outfit and accidentally worn it to the same event, much to our own chagrin. Not this time. I don't think it's bad this time.
Yeah.
But that's only because I had no access to my clothes in California. Had I had my actual closet,
Right.
I might have pulled off my Rob ensemble.
Well,
I call it my Rob ensemble. Anyway, you know, you don't need to take questions. Let's talk about this for 30 minutes.
yeah, exactly.
There he is, Misha Collins, everybody.
By the way, it gets.
Thank you.
Rich, as he's walking off, he says, "Well, we kept it clean. I'm proud of you," and which makes me think I've got to they're both hung like rhinos. So that is one. I've got yet another.
When he's right, he's right. You know what I mean?
One thing that Rich actually only has one leg.
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry about that.
No, you're not. Don't
You
be.
know, we're in Canada now, and you people are also fucking polite. Who said that? You are Canadian. You can say that. Yeah, but your parents are probably from the States.
We're polite, it doesn't mean we're prudes.
Hi. Excuse me. I'm trying to do a panel up here. If you have something you want to share with the rest of the group, you can. So I had a little bit of an awkward experience with a fan yesterday. Yeah, it was a little weird. It was Billie Eilish. I was driving to the airport, and I was just we get when we come to the conventions, they treat us like we're important people, so they sent a car service to come pick me up and bring me to the airport. Didn't even have to drive myself, and I'm sitting in the back feeling, important, and mindlessly scrolling through Instagram, and I see that Billie Eilish is doing this pop-up concert to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of her last album, and it's right on the way. So I texted her mom, and it was like, hey, I haven't met Billie. I'm literally passing right by there at that time. Can I meet Billie? And she said, sure, come on by. So I went there, and they brought me into the green room.
Well, that was loud.
And she was like, oh my God, I'm such a fan. I was like, wow, you want to take a picture or what? We took a picture, and then she said the most. She was like, I was just feeling. She named her cat Misha, and so I'm feeling like kind of important. First the car, and then Billie Eilish, the cat, and then she took all the wind out of my sails. She said, "What's Jensen like in person?"
field mouses. I don't know.
Don't tell him I said that, by the way. Any questions?
How much is our silence worth?
Hi Misha.
Hi.
I'm Sri Lakshmi.
Hi. Shri?
Sri Lakshmi.
Hi, Shri Lakshmi.
So this is my first time at a convention.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How's it going so far?
It's really good.
Good.
So don't mind me if I am really nervous.
I,
Because I am.
okay.
So first of all,
Thank you for being honest about that.
Thank you. So my question is.
Yes.
So today is Friendship Day, International Friendship Day.
It is.
Yes. Happy Friendship Day.
Happy Friendship Day.
So tell us a story about your best friend Darius. Darius.
I actually did understand what you said there. Tell a story about my friend Darius. Well, I have a friend who, his name is Darius. I speak of him from time to time. He and I have, we went to 7th grade together. That's where we met. And he first got to school. I really didn't like him at all because he was very popular with everyone. He was sort of like Jensen. I didn't like that. All the girls liked him, and I did not like that. And then, very, very quickly though, we became friends. And we've been very close friends for our entire lives, which is now like 35 years we've been friends. And it's you know, we're kind of like, almost like siblings, except when we chose each other. And I was reminded the other day of a story. This exemplifies his incredible presence of mind. So this is a story about how this is a story about Darius being the kind of person that I hope to one day be. We were 18 years old and we were going on this long bike ride. It was like a 400-mile bike ride. And we stopped off to get some water out of a spigot at a house on our bike ride. And then we got distracted in a wrestling match on the front yard. And so we were wrestling, he had me pinned, and I was choking and wishing him dead when a pickup truck came screaming into the driveway, and the owner of the pickup truck and the house that we were basically invading jumped out with a shotgun. And he said, "What the fuck are you doing in my yard? This is private property." And we popped up, and I was like, "Oh, thank God. Now I'm just confronting a strange angry man with a gun." And he said, "What are you doing?" And his neighbor had called and said there were two people like walking around his property, probably just casing the joint to break in. And Darius said, "We're riding for the Rhino." And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he said, "Yeah." And the guy was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, we're riding to raise money and awareness about the endangered black rhino. We're collecting pledges. In fact, I have a pledge form in my bag if you want to pledge to make a contribution to our campaign." And he starts like reaching for his bag on the bike. And the guy was like, no, that's cool. Like, he was so nervous that he was gonna have to make a donation that he jumped back in his truck and drove away. I mean, that's pretty great, right? Someone has a gun and is threatening you, and you ask them for a donation? Who does that?
Apparently Darius.
It's nice to have somebody in your life. Like, if anyone has the opportunity to have a friend when you're young and then keep them for the rest of your life, I recommend it, because it's really nice to have somebody who knows you so well and who can just be there for you in the hardest times. And we've both had the opportunity to do that for one another over the years, and it's such a great thing to have in life. So thank you for bringing up Friendship Day.
Thank you, Misha.
Yeah. Hi.
Howdy. So, first off, I just want to say the entrance of Castiel into the show and the Angel arc in general was amazing.
Thank you. There was an interview with Jensen recently because he had like kind of an epic entrance, or actually maybe it was with Eric Kripke, I think. Eric, who's the creator of both shows, The Boys and Supernatural, said that he wanted to do an epic entrance, kind of like Castiel for Jensen on The Boys, kind of like Castiel's entrance on Supernatural, which was an epic entrance according to Eric. And some news outlets picked up the story, and then there was this one article that talked about how Jensen was reprising his spectacular entrance from Supernatural, and it had like a photo of me and my entrance on Supernatural, and then a photo of Jensen with his entrance on The Boys, and they were like, look, he's still doing the same entrance all these years later, which was kind of weird.
Well, thank you for that. My question is...
Okay, yes, but this is what we asked. Awkward. Good segue. Yeah, thanks for that.
So my question is, you know, you're on the show for so long, and you know, doing a show like that, where it's got its serious moments and it's got its lighter moments, did you ever, you know, pick up a script or hear about a storyline that was going to be coming along and think to yourself, really, this is what we're doing? You know, just kind of laughing at yourself, like, I guess this is the direction the show's going.
Oh, yeah. Every day. Hi.
Hi, my name's Erin. This is my first con.
Hi, Aaron.
I'm a little nervous. I'm going to start with a dad joke. If that's cool. To like ease
Okay, you got one?
I have a really good one.
Okay.
So if the lead singer of Metallica married Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog, would that make him the pastor of Muppets?
Please don't encourage that, please.
Alright, so there's a lot of personality traits that fans pick up on and make like canon, like in season 7, that Cass is like really obsessed with bees and gardening. So after playing the character for 12 years, what would you say is a personality trait or like a habit that Cass has that maybe we never kind of like picked up on, or just something that you believe that Cass is as a person? Or an angel, I guess.
It feels like a puzzle question. I don't know, do you have any ideas for me? I feel like this fandom picks up on things that aren't even there. I doubt that they would miss something.
This is very true.
What thing do you think people have not picked up on?
Oh God, I have no idea. I think we pretty much picked up on everything, and I just wanted to know if like there was something that you felt was like so true to Cass's like personality and like who he is.
This is no, there's never been a time like, I don't know why nobody is picking up on the fact that Castiel drinks a beer in one chug. Or, well, he did.
Why, is
He
that
did
weird?
once. I guess you guys missed it. Who did it? You didn't miss that? That's how. You will always drink your stein of beer in one slug. Hi.
Hi, I love you.
Oh.
This is my first convention as well.
There's so many new people. Who is here for the first time? Wow, amazing. You know the show is over, right? Spoiler alert, I'm so sorry for those of you who haven't finished. Hi.
Hi. My question is, obviously Cass is very different from your personalities, but are there any tricks or things that you do to get into his character?
Well, I'll be honest, I don't get into character a lot anymore. You use the present tense. And that made me feel like I might be crazy. I just go home and get into character. I'm raising my children as Castiel. That's my They're like, my dad is so weird. He just stands next to me while I sleep all night long. He sleeps in a trench coat, standing up next to my bed. I actually don't feel safe at home. I've never seen him eat. And he drinks beer in just one slug. There were certain things over time that that ended up being almost like triggers to put me, like the Manchurian Candidate, that just automatically put me into the Castiel mode. And I have to say, one of them.
Move your hand up the mic.
Wait, show me again.
On game.
No. Show me how to grip it. I can't quite. Can you explain it one more time?
Practice with a shake weight.
She's like,
I'm not.
you're holding the mic. Well, yeah, you gotta hold it more toward the top. You're holding the mic. Hold it up higher.
Oh, I got some
The woman in front of her did the same thing. Just to like drive the car home. She's like. You have a 6-year-old? Well, so now you know how to hold a microphone. That's great. It's a very useful life skill. Shame on you, Mom. What did you think I was doing? Okay, so. What were we talking about? Just put on the trench coat, and it was like, right away, I just like sort of slumped and felt like Castiel. It was over time that just sort of became this like light switch that would flip on, and the character would just be there, which was kind of.
I need to follow you on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. Hi.
Hi, Misha.
Hi.
It's also my first time at a convention as well.
Oh my goodness!
Yep, surprise!
So many newbies.
So after all that silliness, I have actually sort of a serious question, unfortunately.
Good luck.
I'm just curious. During the pandemic, like you said when you came on stage, it's been too long since we've been in these kinds of settings and socially interacting with each other. I know I definitely missed these kinds of moments. And I'm curious if there was any one key thing that you learned about yourself during that time that we were unable to be normal.
Well, there were certain things, like more specific things that I missed that I just couldn't do anymore, like licking the handrails on public transportation. I didn't realize until the pandemic hit how much that had become a part of my routine.
Terrible.
Not up here.
It is interesting. It is interesting coming back into the fold of these events and the normal human, or quote unquote normal. If this is normal human interaction, wow. But even just like getting used to touching people in photo, touching strangers, it's like there's a part of your synaptic network that has been wired now to be like recoiling from that danger. So it's an interesting thing to notice that we have to kind of get back into the groove. and relearn some behaviors without being like, oh, is this safe? Are we going to survive this? I notice this with my kids especially because they're so young, and when you're 9 years old and like 2.5 years of your life has sort of been taken by this experience, there's not a whole lot that you remember before then, and it's a very big feature of your childhood and development. And I could like totally see it with my daughter, who's like very fastidious about washing things and paying attention to like the chain of title on a piece of food that other people are taking bites out of. She's like, nope, now it's gross. I'm not eating that. She'll eat something that I took a bite out of. But if West is also taking a bite, that's a bridge too far. Yeah. So I think there's some good things about it. I think, being able to meet with each other virtually and not have to have in-person meetings all the time is actually kind of great, because it's a pain in the ass to drive to wherever to meet somebody. And so now I'm actually finding that I'm talking to more people that like seeing them on video than I did in the past. Like, I remember in 2016, I was doing campaigning for Hillary Clinton, and I was driving from place to place and doing these in-person pit stops, which was awesome and had a lot of fun. But during the pandemic, I was doing campaigns with all sorts of politicians over Zoom, and I was able to meet do face-to-face Zooms with most of the people who were Democratic presidential nominees. And I would never have been able to do that if it was an in-person thing, because I don't pass the security protocols necessary to be face-to-face with someone like that. So there are good things and bad things about it, but I think that it's going to take us a while to actually settle into the right cadence of this combination of safety and contact that we all need. I don't know. Interesting topic.
Thanks for sharing.
Yes.
Hello, Misha.
Hello.
My name is Sari.
Hi, Sari.
So from one ball of weirdo to another, have you ever?
I take issue with that characterization.
Have you ever been in a place that you don't identify with a bunch of people? And
No.
how do you get through feeling yourself and not feeling like you're impostoring someone normal?
How do I masquerade as a functioning adult? Paraphrasing here. In the company of other humans? Oh, it's a challenge. I think I do identify as an outsider, even though as I've gotten older, I think I've had more exposure to the human family. I think I've developed some more social skills. But we switched schools every year for sure, but often more than that, once a year. And I was always the new kid, always the outsider, and I was, very poorly dressed and didn't fit in, and we didn't have a TV, so I wasn't really up on pop culture or well socialized. And so I always felt like an outsider. And I think that just has stuck with me. It's codified, I still identify that way. But I think one thing that has helped doing it again.
Yep.
I'm down here, it sounds like someone is.
Sounds like there's a mouse.
It sounds like a mouse, like a field mouse. Interesting. Richard Spade. It's a funny visual if you picture it. I think over time, I think just pushing myself to sort of push through the uncomfortable situations has helped me become more graceful in that department. But I still feel like an outsider, especially right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, it's my first concert.
Oh, hi, yes. Hi, new person. What made you take the plunge and come to a convention?
I just felt like I had too much money in my bank account.
Well, listen, friend, we are here to help you solve that problem.
This is the first time that there's been a convention during Gish, at least one I've been at.
Uh-huh.
So I just really like to say this in person after browsing the list this morning. God damn it, Misha!
What are you most angry about?
I only skimmed it quickly, so
Okay.
I couldn't possibly come up with it. But my question is, how do you guys come up with these items? Like, is there just an empty room filled with drugs that you all and just
I'd like to point out the inconsistency in your question. If the room were in fact empty, how could it be filled with drugs? We take the drugs and then go into an empty room. The list originally started with a list that I had been keeping, that I was like, I had this notebook and I would go, oh, this is a good idea for an art project, and I'd write it down. And then it was like, okay, it's been 5 years since I started making this list and carrying it around with me, and I've done exactly one of the 50 things on this list. I've got to up my game. And so that was the very first, like, it was even before it was called Gish, the very first rhino hunt thing that I did was just getting those items made. It was crowdsourcing. It was cheating. And then as I go through the year, I just make notes now when I was like, oh, you know what? That would be a good Gish item. And then Chris George, who works for Gish, she's like the #1 item writer. But then over time, I've also collected people who are good at writing items, which, by the way, is not everybody. So it takes a special person to have the same, whatever, brain problems that I have that result in Gish items. But there are a handful of people who send things. One guy who's just so good at it is Dave Lavery. He participated at Gish after Gish, so he is the director of solar system exploration at NASA.
Wow.
And he was responsible for, Gish. I try to get people to write something or hold up a sign on the space station. Get an astronaut to hold up a sign on the space station. And NASA was like, F you, they officially posted on Twitter, leave our astronauts alone, they have real work to do, please stop. And so then the next year I wrote another item trying to get NASA to do something else, and they were like, who are these people? They're not quitting. And so Dave was really kind of responsible at NASA. He saw this and he was like, all right, we'll play. And he was sort of responsible for shepherding through getting a mountain on Mars named Gish officially. And then NASA posted that on their Twitter feed. Leave us alone now. We've named a mountain on Mars for you. But in order to get that done, he had to go all the way up to the chain of command, up the chain of command at NASA. So the director of NASA had to approve it, because it's there's all of these regulations about public-private interaction, and are they trying to help some private company or something like that? And ultimately they decided, no, we're just trying to protect NASA from these people. But Dave then the next year joined the team. He actually joined William Shatner's team the next year. And then he's just become the greatest item writer. So he wrote he wrote 7 or 8 on this year's list. I don't know. It's a long answer to a very short question. I'm sorry. But also the other thing is now Gish participants probably write, I would say 30% of the items. They just send in ideas and they're pretty good. I think this is a good list this year. You don't know.
I haven't had time because I've been here.
Yeah.
So I just briefly said.
Number 67.
What?
Who's responsible for number 67?
Do you really think I know what What is number 67?
Getting a public official to make this a real holiday.
It seems seems like an obvious opportunity for the government. Okay. Good to see you. Hi.
How's it going, Misha?
Hi. For those of you who don't know, Gish is like an international scavenger hunt that I run. That might have been really confusing and boring for half of you. Sorry. Hi.
How's it going, Misha?
Good.
First time convention here as well. Shout out to my wife.
Oh my God, there's so many first timers. Welcome.
So my question was born with your awesome entrance we keep talking about. We talked about it yesterday. We talked about how you reprised it in the voice today. Your entrance gave an awesome one-liner, raising from the tradition, and then casts out a bunch of one-liners through the years. What is your favorite?
Oh gosh, what is my favorite? I mean, Hey Asswipe is always a crowd favorite. I'll just wait here then. Say it in the cast voice.
Ass butt. Say it in the cast
Say
voice.
hey ass butt.
In the cast voice.
I love that a smattering of you still think I don't hear what you're saying. Hey, Asswipe. Nothing reads a washed up actor like getting up on stage long after your show has been canceled and trying to mimic the voice and your character's catchphrase. I can see myself doing that, 40 years from now. With my nurse standing next to me, getting ready to change my diaper. Thank you for that mortifying experience. Hi.
I'm Susanna, this is my first convention as well.
What the Were people who have been to conventions before not allowed to ask questions this time?
Seems that way.
Obviously not.
So I love your podcast, Bridgewater.
Well, thank you.
Super excited to see that you guys are recording again for the next season. And so my question is about when you're doing voice acting, do you find it easier because you only have to focus on your voice, or more difficult because you only have your voice to display all the characters' emotions?
It's way easier. Way easier. There's so much less to think about, and we're reading. And it's been such a joy for me. I've never really done anything like Bridgewater before. I've never done this kind of work. And I'm finding it really fun and gratifying. And it's interesting. So as an actor, if you go like work on television, working on Supernatural, we go to we shoot maybe on a big day, we shoot 8 pages of dialogue. We recorded last week. We were recording the next season of Bridgewater last week. On Tuesday, we recorded 88 pages, and it's the same amount of story per page. So you're literally going 10 times faster because there's no camera setups. There's no waiting around for, to set the explosives or whatever it is that you have to do in television. So when you're acting, when we were acting in Supernatural, we would shoot for 10 minutes, do a couple of retakes, and then change a lens, change the camera position, change something, and wait for 15 or 20 minutes or a half hour, and then go again. And so there was much more time when you're not doing the work of acting than when you're actually doing the work of acting. And when you're in a recording booth, so last week is a good example. On Tuesday, I'll say this: like we did 7 hours straight, but it was 7 hours of continuous acting, and it was amazing to see what happened in my brain. When I was done, I got in the car. My mom was there visiting. My mom. Oh, that's another story. My mom was there visiting. We got in the car, and I couldn't figure out how to put it in reverse. My brain had just used up all of its resources. And we were driving, it was like a half hour later, because it was about an hour and a half from my house where we were recording. And we were driving in. I was like, Mom, I've done this drive 100 times. Mom, I have no idea where we are. And I had turned off the highway and driven 15 miles in the wrong direction before I realized what I was doing. And it's like just completely sapped of all mental faculties. Which, by the way, brings me to the other story. So my mom comes in and she was coming to visit me and the kids, and her flight got in while I was recording, so she took a taxi to the recording studio, and then she ended up just sitting in the booth with the director on the other side of the glass, watching me and Alan Tudyk. I don't know if you know the actor, but he's playing my dad in this season. He's awesome. So we were both in the booth, and we were recording all this stuff she watched for a couple hours, and then we got in the car, and she said, I was like, yeah. What'd you think of the Bridgewater thing? She was like, so you were recording that? And I was like, yeah. Oh. Are you gonna record it again? I was like, no, that's it. She's like, really? And is that how you did it for the first season? And I said, yeah, she hasn't listened to the first season. She's like, oh, okay. I'm just really kind of, I don't know, I guess I'm just surprised that people want to watch that. She thought we were making a television show. It's an audio drama. We're in a recording booth with headphones on, standing in front of mic stands music stands with like the script in front of us, just reading it. And she was like, this is terrible television. She actually said, I don't know, Misha, I guess it's just different production value. Being on the set of Supernatural will look much more interesting. Oh my God. That must have been such a strange 2 hours for her. This is terrible television. Terrible. Okay. Hi.
Hi, Misha. My name is Amy. It is
Hi,
not my first convention.
Yay! Yes to non-virgins.
My question is about Gotham Knights, which I'm very excited about.
I am too.
And I wonder what you're most excited about playing the character of Harvey Dent.
Well, I'm very excited about many aspects of the character of Harvey Dent. I've already spoiled things that I wasn't supposed to spoil at previous conventions, so I'm parsing my words very carefully here. I will tell you that we shot the pilot here in Toronto, and it was beautiful. I made a lot of very enthusiastic phone calls and told friends, like, I can't wait for you to come visit here in Toronto. It's such an awesome city. I've been to Toronto for these conventions in the past, but it's always a fairly short trip. I haven't had a ton of time. I mean, I've been to some good restaurants and like it's a pretty skyline. I haven't had a ton of time to explore, but I really explored Toronto. And it's such a great place. It's like maybe my favorite North American city. I really love it. You maybe don't know, maybe you do. Maybe you're full of yourselves. But you don't know how lucky you are. But then it was such a pain in the ass to film here because there's so much film production going on in Toronto that we're moving to Atlanta for the series. So, to help with you all, but I really think it was actually a nice, it was also a lovely time of year to be here. The weather was great, and I've developed a real fondness for the city. But I'm excited because the character is going to be more complex than any film or television representation of the Harvey Dent Two-Face character has been. We're getting to like really dig in I can't tell you. It's good. I'm excited to really try to make it grounded and real and explore the psyche of someone who's been through a lot. And it's not going to be just this like broad brushstrokes bad guy character. We're going to get to know Harvey Dent and the person who's trying his hardest to do the right thing. And I think it will be gratifying. It'll be very satisfying for me as an actor. And you may just have to slog through it. We'll see. I think it's going to be great. I love the cast. I love the creators. And this is very different from Supernatural. On Supernatural, we'd sit down with the writers and they'd be like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. Here's what's going to happen. And here I'm like, so what's going to happen? And they're like, we're not telling you because we don't trust you. And also it being like part of the DC universe with all of like this story, mythology, that it's actually like treated like a state secret. So I'm not going to be able to spoil as much as I used to with Supernatural. That's it.
Thank you very much. Hi there, my name is Catherine.
Hi, Catherine.
I'm wondering, the Supernatural cast is such a multi-talented group of people, but is there something that you wish you were good at?
What? Wait a minute. I think you're thinking of a different series. Is there some? You're saying the rest of the cast is talented. Do I wish I had a talent? Is that what you're getting at?
Carpentry and poetry and cooking.
Okay, all right. Take that. Is there something more valuable I wish I could do? I have always wished that I had a black belt in something. I wish I was a martial artist. In fact, I'll tell you, this is a Gotham Knights thing. I called the creators and I was like, listen, Castiel did not have a lot of fight scenes. He had superpowers, and I was clumsy, and so the writers were like, maybe no fighting for this guy. But I was like, I would love to get into some fight training to like really get into fighting shape for this character, and they were like, yeah, no, we don't see you as so much for fighting. And I was like, oh God, I'm typecast as the person who can't fight just because I can't fight. That's not fair. But that's one thing that I've always wished I had. I've always wished that I had completed an Iron Man. And there's like a part of me that's still like, you can still get a black belt, you can still do an Iron Man, but when I go for like a 4-mile jog and I'm limping the last 3/4 of a mile, I'm like, no, maybe not an Iron Man, maybe a Copper Man. So we'll see about that. Yeah. I would also love to learn an instrument. I've dabbled in a few instruments over the years, but it's been a long time. I'd love to have the spaciousness in life to play music, like all these other jerks. Thanks.
Hi, Misha. My name is also Catherine.
Hi.
This is my 3rd convention.
Ah.
My husband loves to tell me that he buys me these convention tickets so I can just hurry around with my fictional boyfriends.
Wait, so you do what?
Hurrying around with my fictional boyfriends. AKA.
Oh, Jensen. I was about to let that go to my head, so I'm glad that you set me straight. It's you and Billie Eilish. Inspiring to make me feel small.
Sorry about
like a
that.
field mouse. Yes, yeah. That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. That's an important fact to remember. You're not in love with Jensen. You're in love with a fictional character, Dean. Yeah. A lot of people get confused. They start conflating them, like, oh, he's so handsome. No, it's you're thinking of Dean that's handsome. Jensen is actually quite challenging to look at. But yes, very important point, and I'm glad that you brought that up because a lot of people need to be reminded of that.
I gotta tell you, I had that same conversation with Danielle. She is in denial.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Jensen's wife is She's a super Dean fan, and she doesn't even watch the show, but she is obsessed with that character. So much so that she actually ended up having children with Jensen because she was like, oh, so obsessed with Dean. I mean, she doesn't know Dean, but she, you know what I mean.
She's living all our dreams.
Or nightmare. Depending on how well you know Jensen. Anyway, so this is my least favorite question so far.
It'll be good, I promise.
Okay.
Nice and short and sweet. So, what was your favorite cast to play? Funny, stupid cast, serious cast, strictly angel cast?
What is my favorite cast to play? You said funny, stupid cast? Is that what you said? No, it's actually like sexy, commanding cast is my favorite.
Right, Rob?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like to, that's my favorite version of Castiel, sort of like the sex god Castiel. That I think that was like probably the dominant cast that I played. It was mostly that. And then there was a few, a peppering of dorky social misfit cast, but it was actually kind of hard to catch that.
I like her tee up for the question. She's like, what's your favorite cast to play? Annoying, nobody likes you cast. Smells like fish has been sitting on the counter for 5 days cast.
Anyway, and then I have a follow-up question. What's Jensen Ackles like in real life? Well, this has been an incredibly demoralizing experience. Thank you all.
Way to bring them down a peg, Toronto.
Well done, Toronto.
We owe you. Misha Collins! Intermission now. You know what's after intermission? Yeah, that's after intermission. We're gonna go and do the song now, though.
After intermission, we're gonna have costume contest. Contest 4 is costume contest. Somebody's gonna die. So get ready for that.
Could be you. Can't say you haven't been warned. All right, see you in a bit.